Her climb down on denying millions of pensioners the winter fuel allowance was not the only U-turn announced by Rachel Reeves, the UK's Chancellor of the Exchequer, this month. Less significant in political terms, but of far greater importance to the UK's long-term growth potential, was an announcement on June 10th that the government would commit £750 million, $1 billion, worth of funding for a new exascale supercomputer capable of conducting a quintillion, 1 billion, operations per second at Edinburgh University. The news reversed a previous decision, made days after the Labour government was elected in July last year, to pull some £800 million worth of funding for the project announced by former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's administration in 2023. Edinburgh had already spent an estimated £30 million on supporting infrastructure, and the decision dismayed the UK's scientific community, which warned that, at a time when the US has 2 exascale computers, China has 2, and both Japan and France are building their own, it would leave Britain lagging its peers. The timing of the U-turn was no coincidence. Just 2 days later, to mark the start of London Tech Week, Prime Minister Keir Starmer shared a platform with Jensen Huang, NVIDIA's founder and CEO, where both talked eagerly about the power of artificial intelligence to transform lives. During the session, though, Huang had a stark warning for the UK. The UK has one of the richest AI communities anywhere on the planet. The deepest thinkers, the best universities in Oxford, Cambridge, and Imperial College, amazing startups like DeepMind, Wave, Synthesia, an incredible research community, he said. It's just missing one thing. This is the largest AI ecosystem in the world without its own infrastructure. Cynics will say that Huang's message, chipmaker, urges more investment in infrastructure that requires chips, does not look that different from a stockbroker urging clients to buy stocks. It is inconceivable, though, that the government would not have been made aware of it in advance. And restoring funding for the Edinburgh supercomputer suggests the message landed with Starmer and Reeves. Yet the UK tech sector faces other challenges. One is that the UK's AI startups are way behind their American and Chinese peers in the sums they are raising from venture capitalists. That, potentially, is as much of a weakness longer term as a shortage of sovereign AI computing infrastructure. However, a broader worry is that the UK may be losing momentum in quantum computing, the revolutionary way of processing information faster than classical computing. Just up the A40 Trunk Road, on the same day Starmer was on stage with Huang, the quantum hardware startup Oxford Ionics, a spin-off from the University of Oxford, agreed to a $1.1 billion takeover by Maryland-based IonQ. The sale has revived concerns, first mooted when the AI startup DeepMind was bought by Google in 2014, that the UK is nothing more than a tech incubator, where businesses are born before being scaled up elsewhere. As Tina Stowell, former chair of the House of Lords Communications and Digital Committee, put it, "I am genuinely sorry about its loss to the UK as a British business, even if, under new ownership, it continues to operate here. What we have seen this week is another example of a worrying trend," she added. "There are fears that other companies in the space may follow suit." This takeover is a reflection of the top-notch quality of UK quantum R&D, built on decades of public funding, but also an example that will be watched closely by other quantum companies seeking capital and opportunities that can be hard to find in the UK. Ashley Montanaro, co-founder and CEO of the quantum software company Phasecraft, wrote in an article for the British tech industry publication UKTN. "There's already more public funding available for quantum companies in the US than in the UK, more fellowships, more state and federal grants and contracts, and more support for scale-up and deployment. Even with President Donald Trump's recent pushback against universities, private capital ultimately follows public money, and several of our peers have joined us in opening labs overseas to access such support, knowledge, and capital," he added. Highlighting delays to the implementation of the UK's National Quantum Strategy, announced 2 years ago, he noted there would be no new government funding for quantum computing projects until autumn at the earliest, while at the same time, the US was in the process of doubling federal quantum funding, and other countries, among them Canada and Finland, had stepped up investment in the field. Montanaro went on, "Once the talent, capital, and momentum go elsewhere, they rarely return.